The private dining room of Golden Dynasty's flagship restaurant had never felt so suffocating. Crystal chandeliers that usually cast warm light across hand-carved tables now felt harsh and accusatory. The same room where my grandfather had taught me the art of perfect dim sum was about to become the scene of my public execution. My name is Michelle Chen, and at 35, I was about to be voted out of the restaurant empire my grandfather had built from a single food cart in 1975. Now, with 15 locations across 3 states and annual revenues of $30 million, my cousins had decided it was time for a change in leadership. The numbers are clear. Thomas, my eldest cousin, declared from the head of the table, my grandfather's seat. Michelle's insistence on premium ingredients and traditional preparation methods is killing our profit margins. I sat quietly, watching my family members avoid my gaze. Aunt Helen, my father's sister, was practically vibrating with poorly concealed satisfaction. She'd been pushing her children, Thomas, Richard, and Anna, toward this coup for months. Our food cost is 45% higher than industry standard, Richard added, sliding glossy charts across the mahogany table. All because of Michelle's outdated policies. Outdated policies, like sourcing authentic ingredients from verified suppliers, like maintaining the rigorous cleanliness standards my grandfather had instilled, like treating our staff with respect and paying them fairly. The new supplier I've found, Anna chimed in, can cut our costs by 60%. Same products, just more economical. I thought about the documents hidden in my office upstairs, the ones detailing exactly where Anna's economical supplier got their products, the health inspection reports I'd obtained from other restaurants they supplied, the laboratory tests I quietly commissioned, and the staff costs. Thomas continued, warming to his theme. Michelle's insistence on experienced chefs, on extensive training, it's unnecessary. We can bring in line cooks at half the cost. Aunt Helen nodded approvingly. It's time to modernize. Your grandfather was a great man, Michelle, but his methods belong in the past. My grandfather, the man who taught me that a restaurant was more than just a business. It was a promise to every guest who walked through our doors. Quality isn't expensive, he used to say. Cutting corners is. The vote will now commence, Thomas announced. As per company bylaws, a 2/3 majority is required to remove a senior executive. I opened my laptop pretending to review the quarterly reports while hands raised around the table. In reality, I was sending a pre-written email to David Wong, my contact at the State Health Department, the one whose team had been quietly preparing for this exact moment. With 9 votes in favor and 1 against, Thomas declared triumphantly, Michelle Chen is hereby removed as Chief Operations Officer of Golden Dynasty Restaurants, effective immediately. Of course, I said calmly, closing my laptop. I assume you'll want me to clear out my office. By end of day, Anna smirked. We have a new team starting tomorrow. I gathered my belongings, feeling their eager eyes following my every move. They were probably expecting tears, pleading, maybe even anger. Instead, I smiled, remembering another of my grandfather's lessons. The best revenge is letting people show exactly who they are. One thing, I said, pausing at the door. The quarterly health and safety inspections are due this week. I usually handle those. We're well aware, Thomas replied dismissively. The new management team has everything under control. I nodded, thinking of the extensive documentation in my home safe. 6 months of evidence, hundreds of photographs, dozens of supplier invoices that didn't quite match the products being delivered. I'm sure they do, I said softly, though you might want to be especially thorough in checking the seafood storage, particularly the containers from Anna's new supplier. Anna's face flickered with something that might have been concern. What are you implying? Nothing at all. Just looking out for the family business, one last time. The elevator ride to my office felt surreal. 10 years of my life, of carrying forward my grandfather's legacy, ended by family members who saw only dollar signs where he had seen tradition and honor. My phone buzzed, a message from David, team assembled, ready when you give the word. I looked around my office at the photographs chronicling Golden Dynasty's history, my grandfather at the original food cart, the opening of our first restaurant, me at 18, learning to make xiaolongbao under his patient guidance. Another message, this one from Michael Zhang, our head chef for 15 years. Kitchen crew ready, all evidence secured. Thomas had never understood why I spent so much time in the kitchens, learning from our chefs, listening to their concerns. He called it micromanaging, but it had built a loyalty that went beyond paychecks. My final message of the day went to 25 different recipients, every chef and kitchen manager across our 15 locations. Activate Protocol Dragon. Within hours, encrypted files would be uploaded to secure servers. Security cameras would preserve unedited footage. And most importantly, every shortcut, every compromise standard, every dangerous decision made by the new management would be meticulously documented. As I drove home that evening, passing the gleaming storefronts of our restaurants, I thought about my grandfather's words the day he made me COO. A restaurant is built on trust, Michelle. Once you break that trust, no amount of profit can rebuild it. Tomorrow, my cousins will begin implementing their modernization plan. But they've forgotten something crucial about family businesses. Sometimes the most important lessons are the ones passed down in secret. And I have learned every lesson my grandfather had to teach. The next 48 hours moved with the precision of a well-orchestrated dinner service. My cousins wasted no time implementing their improvements, completely unaware that every change was being documented by loyal staff members across all 15 locations. Michael's texts kept coming. They're replacing our regular seafood delivery with Anna's supplier. New line cooks arrived. No experience with Chinese cuisine. They're telling us to maximize the ingredient yield by pushing expiration dates. I sat in my home office, surrounded by evidence I'd spent months collecting. Photographs of mislabeled ingredients. Documentation of food safety violations. Records of kickbacks from unauthorized suppliers. But most damaging of all, proof that Anna's new supplier was repackaging rejected seafood products with falsified inspection certificates. Tuesday morning arrived with a message from David Wong. Health inspection teams in position at all locations. Ready on your signal. I thought about my grandfather, about his dedication to quality and tradition, about how he built Golden Dynasty's reputation one perfectly crafted dish at a time. At precisely 11:30 a.m., as the lunch service began, health inspectors entered all 15 Golden Dynasty restaurants simultaneously. The timing was crucial. Peak service meant maximum exposure. My phone rang immediately. Thomas. What did you do? He demanded, panic evident in his voice. Me? I'm no longer involved with Golden Dynasty, remember? Just a routine health inspection, I'm sure. They're going through everything. The storage, the prep areas, the documentation. As they should, I replied calmly. Food safety is crucial, isn't it? Especially with all your recent changes. I could hear chaos in the background, raised voices, clattering equipment, the sound of inspectors doing their jobs thoroughly. Michelle. Anna's voice cut in. They had me on speaker. Call them off. We can talk about this. Talk about what? Your new seafood supplier? The one repackaging rejected products with forged certificates, or perhaps the kickbacks you've been receiving for using them. Silence. How did you? No. I've been documenting everything for months, every shortcut, every violation, every decision that put profit above safety. You'll destroy the business, Thomas shouted. No, I corrected him. You're destroying it. I'm protecting our customers just like grandfather taught us to. The inspections took hours. By evening, the results were devastating. Critical violations at every location, contaminated ingredients, improper storage, falsified safety records. The press was having a field day. My phone buzzed again. A message from our family's lawyer, Benjamin Chen. Emergency board meeting called for 9 a.m. tomorrow. Bring your evidence. The next morning, the private dining room had a very different atmosphere. Thomas, Richard, and Anna sat ashen-faced as Benjamin laid out the situation. The health department findings are conclusive, he reported. Critical violations across all locations. Fraudulent supplier documentation. The fines alone will be substantial, not to mention potential criminal charges for the food safety violations. We can fix this, Thomas began desperately. Actually, Benjamin continued, according to these documents Michelle has provided, you can't. The supplier contract Anna signed commits Golden Dynasty to exclusive use of their products for 5 years. A supplier, I might add, that's now under federal investigation. Anna slumped in her chair. Richard couldn't meet anyone's eyes. Furthermore, Benjamin added, the evidence suggests this was not merely negligence, but a deliberate scheme to increase profits through dangerous cost-cutting measures. Aunt Helen finally spoke up. What are our options? Limited, I said, walking into the room. But I have a proposal. All eyes turned to me. Resign. All of you. Return control of operations to me. I'll implement an immediate corrective action plan. One that's already been approved by the health department. And if we refuse, Thomas challenged weakly. I opened my laptop, displaying emails, photos, supplier records. Then every document I have goes to the health department, the FDA, and the press. Your choice. The resignations were signed within the hour. As they filed out, Aunt Helen paused. Your grandfather would be disappointed, she said bitterly. No, I replied. He'd be disappointed that you forgot his most important lesson. A restaurant's reputation is built on trust, not profit margins. The next few months were intense. I worked with David and his team to implement new safety protocols across all locations. Michael and our experienced chefs trained new staff properly. Every supplier was vetted, every process documented. Most importantly, we returned to my grandfather's standards: quality ingredients, traditional preparation methods, respect for our craft and our customers. The press coverage gradually shifted from scandal to redemption. Golden Dynasty returns to its roots, raid one headline. Family restaurant chain recommits to quality, said another. 6 months later, I stood in the kitchen of our flagship location, watching Michael train a new chef in the art of dim sum preparation. Just like your grandfather taught, he said, smiling. Our revenues had initially dropped as we rebuilt our reputation, but loyal customers were returning. More importantly, we were serving food we could be proud of again. Last week, a young restaurant owner came to me for advice about family business pressures. Remember, I told her, sharing my grandfather's wisdom, a restaurant isn't just about profit. It's about trust, tradition, and doing things right even when no one's watching. The private dining room where I was voted out now hosts our chef training programs. The chandelier light falls on students learning our traditional recipes, understanding why every detail matters. Thomas, Richard, and Anna moved away, starting new ventures far from the restaurant industry. Aunt Helen still won't speak to me, but that's fine. Some family ties are better left severed. As I write this from my office, watching the dinner service through the window, I can almost see my grandfather nodding in approval. The kitchen hums with purposeful activity, every dish prepared with care and respect for tradition. The health inspection certificates hang proudly in each location, but our real standards go far beyond what any inspector requires. Because as my grandfather always said, when you serve food, you're not just feeding bodies, you're nurturing trust. Golden Dynasty continues to grow, but now it grows right, one perfectly prepared dish at a time, one satisfied customer at a time, one honored tradition at a time. And in the end, that's the greatest profit of all, knowing that we've stayed true to the legacy of quality and integrity that my grandfather built, one food cart at a time. Every morning, before the restaurants open, I walk through the kitchens just like he used to do, checking standards, greeting staff, ensuring everything meets the level of excellence he taught me to maintain. Because sometimes protecting a legacy means being willing to risk everything to preserve what matters most. In our case, it wasn't just about food. It was about trust, tradition, and the understanding that some things are worth more than money. The restaurants are full again, but now with customers who know they can trust every dish that leaves our kitchens. And in the end, that trust, just like my grandfather always said, is worth more than any profit margin my cousins could have achieved.